Hey Eurovision fans, it's time for another Eurovision News 2024. Italy have released the participation list for Sanremo Music Festival. We're going to go through all 30 acts and see who could potentially win. We also finally have the participation list for Eurovision 2024. We're going to go through and see who's in and who's out. We have tons of national final news from Serbia, Albania, Slovenia, Denmark, Netherlands, and Germany. Lots of juicy news. Let's kiki. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom and I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. As always, I have wriggled through the wreck that is social media to bring you all of the latest and juiciest Eurovision news. So this episode is quite soon after my last one. I'm kind of working this series that as soon as there's enough juicy news to fill an episode, I'm putting one out, as opposed to doing it every week or every 2 weeks or every month or whatever. So lots of stuff happening now. I don't know why everything seems to be on hyper mode, lots of news being released and gossip. I think it's just this time of the year, all the pre-news coming out before national finals start. So let's start with Sanremo. We have 30 artists announced for Sanremo. We actually have 27, and then there's going to be 3 artists who come from the newcomers section. So 27 confirmed established names. Lots of big names here, even for someone like me who's not massive Italy music stan. I still really enjoy Sanremo, but I'm not as hardcore. Some people really love Sanremo a lot, like it's the highlight of their entire year, which is super cool. But even me, as someone less hardcore, I still recognize like almost all of the people on this list. It really is like a selection of some of the biggest names in the Italian music scene. A lot of countries really are striving to have this level of Italy's, it's not national final. I know Sanremo's not national final. It is a music festival that doubles as a national final for Italy. There's been huge fights on Twitter about the definition of what is and isn't a national final, which I'm not getting into. Also, a shout out to Brooke, who helped me out with some of the stats about all these people coming back. She's a big Sanremo stan, so she's given me some stats, and she's also given me some pictures I can use. So first of all, let's just go through the list and I'll pick out some of the names that jumped out to me. So Fiorella Manoi, I think she's a very established artist. I recognize, of course, she's got this fiery red hair. She looks kind of Irish, Scottish. But yeah, she's back as well. Gioia, I don't recognize the name, but we're going to check out the odds later on, and they're very high up in the odds. Dargan D'Amico, Emma, who of course I know, Emma Moroni, who represented Italy before. She represented in 2014 and came 21st. Fred De Palma, Angelina Mango, La Sad, I like that name. Diodato, of course, I know Diodato, who won in 2020. Coming back now. I think this is his first time back since he won. So this is going to be a really interesting dynamic, because a lot of the acts who won their national finals in 2020 came back in 2021, and some of them won and some of them didn't. So for example, The Roop won again. I thought that was very well deserved. I thought they had the best song. But for example, someone like Uku Savista came back for Estonia in 2021, and I don't think he had the best song at all, and he won again. So was there an element of he won because of a pity party, or because there's like a redemption or arc or something like that? Sanremo, as I've already said twice, is quite different from other national finals, so I don't know if people are actually going to factor that in or not. I think maybe a small proportion of people will say, okay, he won in 2020, he didn't get to go to Eurovision, let's put him in. But I think many people are just gonna, that's very low down in the priority list for them. So I don't think him coming back, he'll get like a free pass to win. If he wins, it'll be because he won fair and square, maybe with like 5% extra help from people who wanted to support him because he didn't get to go to Eurovision last time. But yeah, I'm interested to see what he's coming back with, has he got a similar song or what. But we did get to see him perform in Torino during the interval act, and it was amazing. We've got Il Tre, we have Renga and Nek, San Giovanni, Alfa, Il Volo, of course, were in 2015, coming third, winning the televote, so they're coming back as well. Alessandra Amoroso, I'm going to talk about her later, but this apparently is someone to watch out for. Gazelle Negramaro, another group or person to look out for. Irama, I remember Irama as well. He did a song, Il Genisi di Tu Colore or something. It was like him on a F1 racing track. I actually like that song, I downloaded it. So he's back as well. Rose Villain, who I think was in it last year, weren't they? No, I'm thinking of Rosa Chemical. Okay, so different person. Mahmoud, of course we know Mahmoud going in 2019 and also 2022. So he's back again. I saw some people again complaining online, why is he coming back? He's already had his turn, what's he doing? Sanremo is not just about for Eurovision. If you're an established artist in Italy and you want to show off your new music, there's no better platform to do it than Sanremo. If you want like big streams, big exposure, notoriety, free press, free publicity, this is the way to go. So, first of all, let's wait and see if he's even got a song that could win. And then we have to see, even if he did win, would he want to go for a third time? I'd say he probably wouldn't. I think he doesn't want to turn into the male version of Valentina Monetta. Although, what a dream team it would be to have Mahmoud and Valentina Monetta do a duet. That would just be such a winning combination. Loredana Birthday, I recognize the name. I think she's in a similar vein to Fiorella Manoi. The Colours, I also recommend. They're kind of like a rockish indie group. Big Mama, I don't know, but I'm intrigued by the name. Gali Annalisa, again, a really, really great artist. She came third with, I think, Il Primo did they? And then recently her last song was Dieci, which I think came 7th or so. So she's good. She's one of the women that can potentially get up into the top 5, top 3. She's like really high standard, really good quality. She's got the talent. Mr. Rain last year, who had the choir kids on the stage. Manichi, and then Richie and Provi, who have been in Eurovision before, I think in 78, and they came 12th. So they're back as well. So kind of like a more old school band. So these are the 27 established acts. And like I said, we have the newcomers section as well. 3 of those will qualify into the main show. Mahmoud was in the newcomers when he won in 2019. So it can happen. It's a little bit of an outside chance. But if they've got a really great song, it's nice to see that someone who's not established can still win. It's not just about like who you are and your name brand. The song can trump all that. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. But the main reason I'm excited is that if you look at the Sanremo odds, the current winner right now is Alessandra Amoroso. Now, I've never heard of her before, but she's got big hype. I've seen a lot of people super excited for this. And she is really quite clear favorite right now. I'm not sure if these odds are based on people who've heard the songs. Like, I'd say a lot of it's just speculation on name brand. But I would imagine that the people who vetted the songs, are they maybe doing like a cheeky bet as well? And that's why she's up towards the top. Maybe she's got something great. Perhaps some people have some insider info. I'm not sure. But really fantastic to see women at the top. Last year, we didn't have a woman in the top 5. Let me get my stats. I've got a big, very sad looking graph about how poorly women do in Sanremo. So this first graph, we haven't had a female winner since 2014 when Arisa won. And then this other very sad stat, this is the top 3 at Sanremo since 2015. And there was a top 5 last year, but all the other years was a top 3. And you can just see it is hugely dominated by men. So look, I've spoken a lot to people in the comment section here, Italians, some of the Sanremo stands on Twitter. So I've gotten lots of information. My understanding is that part of the demographic that tunes in wants to see these big male Italian ballads. That's just kind of what they're shopping for. And that's not to say there aren't people who come in and they want to see the female acts as well, but there's definitely a big demographic. That's what they want. Every single year I'll get one Italian guy in the comments trying to gaslight me saying that the women aren't sending good enough songs. No, the women are sending great songs. I think it's just the people who are watching tend not to be as interested or to care or to enjoy this type of music that's coming from the female artists. So I would love if this lady who, Alessandra Amoroso, could have that breakthrough. Even getting top 3 would feel like a victory this year. I'm not sure if they're going to do top 3 or top 5 in the finale. Mahmoud said it on the stage when he came out to accept his trophy. He said, it's really sad that there are no women up here. The women had great songs. What's going on? Italy haven't had a female representative since Francesca de Michelin in 2016. Now, I'm not saying that Italy should like give it to a woman just because of fairness. Me personally, I would just like to feel like who's selected. This is a little bit more fair. It feels like the women are kind of a little bit disqualified just based on their demographics. So I'm not saying it should be given to a woman, but I feel like if a woman has a really great song, I want to feel like she could be fairly competitive. Giolier in second. I don't know anything about them. Giolier is an Italian rapper. So really interesting to have a rap song in second place in the odds. And then Negromaro. Negromaro is an Italian pop band. Okay, so really interesting, the top 3 that are making up the odds right now, really going against the grain of previous competitions. So maybe this is going to be a really different year. Then we've got the 3 big names following them, Annalisa, Mahmoud, and Diodato, and Emma. So we've got 4 people who are really competitive after them. Then Angelina Mango, Fiorella Manoi, Il Volo Dan in 9th, Irama in 11th, Mr. Rain in 12th, The Colours in 14th. In any case, I'm really looking forward to Sanremo this year. It is quite difficult for me to cover because The songs come out in the first night, and then there's 15 of them. It is such a big video to do. Huge amounts of copyright, both visually and audio, because these people are big artists. They have huge record companies behind them, and the big record companies are super strict on copyright. So I'm gonna have to adapt. Last year I started the video and I just couldn't get it done in time, because you have to get it turned around within a day. It's so much work. So I'm gonna try and come up with a new strategy. If you've got any ideas, I'm thinking maybe just doing a minute per song and no music videos, just listening to the audio. Maybe see if that's a little bit easier to do, make the video smaller. Sanremo is a good show. It's just tough to watch if you don't speak Italian. Okay, our next story is about the participating countries, and we finally have the participation list. There are going to be 37 countries competing in Malmö, possibly 38, but at this point in time, definitely 37. We do have Australia, which is fantastic news. I'm so happy for Australia. It seemed a little bit touch and go, but they managed to sort something out. My secret sources telling me that the Victoria government stepped in, possibly with some funding. That is definitely not official whatsoever, but someone obviously stepped in with some funding and is supporting it. We don't know if this is for 1 year or 5 years. I don't know. I'm just happy that Australia are here. Hopefully they can come up with a more long-term strategy to stay in the contest. No North Macedonia. Very sad about that. They had a fantastic entry in Junior Eurovision. I think the issue here is the difference in participation fees. Junior Eurovision is a lot cheaper. Adult Eurovision is more expensive. They proposed it in their budget. So I did talk about this on my new show before, but I put an asterisk beside it saying the budget hasn't been confirmed and it looks like it got rejected, or I'm not sure. Basically, the reason they gave is that it's coming up to the 60-year anniversary of the country. 80 years of North Macedonian radio and 60 years of North Macedonian television. So, okay, that's why I had 60 and 80 in my head. So they want to focus, that probably costs them more money to produce all these extra shows, etc. For me, it seems a little bit ironic, because I would have thought if you're celebrating kind of your national identity, one of the best ways to do that is on this massive stage where 160 million people can see your country and your culture. So I don't really totally get the reasoning behind that, but at the end of the day, it's funding. Since Russia and Belarus left, obviously, the EBU has lost a huge amount of money from their participation fees and the viewers that they brought, and also inflation as well. So a lot of people saying, why are these countries withdrawing and not coming back? That's the reason why. It's money. I think some people are saying it's other reasons. For me, this is a purely financial issue. The EBU can only do so much to lower the prices as much as they can. There's cost. They need to pay people. They need to pay the arena. They need to pay the electronics. They need to pay for everything. You can't just say, hey, will you do this for me for free, please? And those costs add up, and then they're trying to reduce as much as possible. This is why I have the big five, because they can take up more of this bill than other countries can. So yeah, I see lots of people saying that the priority needs to be on reducing participation costs. If you've got a great money-making idea, go for it. I think the EBU will totally listen to you. But yeah, this is economics. Now, the reason I said asterisk maybe 38 countries is because Romania aren't officially out yet. So they've asked for an extension, and apparently the reason for this is that they are going to review it in their upcoming budget. So presumably they're doing their 23-24 budget right now, and they're seeing, do we have enough money left over to go to Eurovision? Look, if you ask me right now, are they going to be in or out? I would guess out. I think the fact it's so late and they're getting this extension, it seems a little bit last minute. At least they're trying. The delegation is really scrapping for it. But yeah, my guess is it's not a great sign, and we may not be seeing Romania. Love to be wrong. I really enjoy what Romania bring. They definitely need to sort their sugar out. They're really, really messy right now. So we essentially have the 37 countries out of last year, minus Romania, plus Luxembourg. Okay, we've got a lot of Serbian national fan news. So thank you to Smthngnw, who I follow on Twitter, for keeping me updated with all the Serbian news. And he was telling me about a podcast that Olivera Kovacevic, sorry for saying her name wrong, that she did recently, talking about Serbia in. So I believe that she's the new head of delegation. There had to be like a swap because the previous head of delegation, I think they have term limits, so her term was finished. So Oliver, who was like the deputy, just swapped. They've had a record number of submissions, 235, amazing. You know how obsessed I've become very recently with Pesma za Eurovision. They're most likely to have it in the RTS studios again. So last year we had this cool box stage, no audience. Apparently they're probably going to do it again because they want to keep the production levels high. And if they go into a hall or arena, it's too expensive. So kind of a similar situation to Ireland, where there's some financial constraints. I thought last year's show looked amazing. I'm a little bit sad because I'm obsessed with going to Pesma za Eurovision. If it has an audience, I'm going. Like, especially since this year it's March 2nd. So they're doing a little bit earlier. I think it's the only national final on that weekend, because Melfest is on March 9th and a lot of the other national finals are on March 9th. So they're going to have my undivided attention on March 2nd, which I'm really happy about. If it gets announced in the arena, I'm booking my tickets. The selection process for entries will start on December 11th, so they're going to go through all the songs, and they're hoping to have a list out before December. I presume that's a name list as opposed to the songs actually being released. Also got to give a shout out to Oliveira, because the person in the podcast was trying to peddle all these conspiracy theories about Eurovision, saying that all the juries just vote for Western European countries. Oliveira coming back and saying, well, Israel and Ukraine recently just won. And then the host saying Scandinavians all just block vote for each other. Oliveira saying, well, actually Lorraine got points from everybody in Europe apart from Finland. And we know that there was like a little bit of naughtiness going on in Finland and also the rest of the world. So it was a universal thing that everyone liked Lorraine. It wasn't a Scandinavian plot to take over Eurovision for the 60th anniversary of ABBA. 50th anniversary. Interestingly, she also brought up why Serbia withdrew from Junior Eurovision. First of all, there were some budgetary constraints, but also they only got 4 songs submitted. That is crazy low. So apparently one of their previous years as well, they only had 7 songs submitted. So there's just no interest to submit songs. That's a pretty good reason. If you've only got 4 songs and they're all terrible, what are you meant to do? You've got nothing to work with. So that's kind of surprising that there's 235 for the adult one and only 4 for the junior one. Just obviously not a lot of appetite to write songs for Serbia in Junior Eurovision. In any case, the final is going to be happening on March 2nd, with the semi-finals on the 27th of February and the 29th of February. Oh, it's a leap year this year. Okay, spicy. And then the final on March 2nd, and we're going to have 30, 32 or 34 songs. So one of my small criticisms last year about Pesmazai Eurovision was it was so big. Oh my god, it was so big. And there should have been a little bit of editing. That's fine. But it looks like we're going to get 15, 16 or 17 songs per semi yet again. Hey, it's just part of the package. I still love the national final. Moving on to Albania, and we've had a 3rd artist withdraw from Festival Kungas, which is coming out really soon. I think it's on the 21st of December. No, it starts, the final's on the 22nd of December. First night is on the 19th of December, so that's really close. Whoa, that's only less than 2 weeks away. 3 artists withdrawn. I don't know what the reason for this is. It doesn't look great. The first 2 artists who withdrew, one of them was Keshi Tola, who I was really looking forward to, probably my favorite Albanian song in Eurovision ever. So those 2 artists are being replaced with other people, which feels a little bit redundant. Like, I think it's safe to say those songs aren't going to do well. Like, they didn't even make the top 30 songs. I think there are only 85 songs submitted anyway. I suppose they're trying to fill up the time or something. We've had a 3rd artist withdraw now, so I have to admit, my perception, this is in fact, this is just my opinion, is that the Albanian national final seems just a little bit, there's elements of background dealings and it doesn't feel totally above board, if you know what I mean. I remember seeing a tweet by someone, I can't find the tweet now, but I remember seeing a while ago where an Albanian person I follow on Twitter had gone through every single year saying whether they thought each year was rigged or not. Like this one was rigged, this one wasn't, this one was. Around half of them were rigged. Now, again, that's just this person speculating. But, you know, if someone did a similar list with Sweden and said half this list is rigged, I'd be like, that's ridiculous. I don't believe it at all. Whereas when I see it with Albania, I'm like, yeah, I can't. I'm just not getting the impression it's totally transparent. Again, if I'm totally wrong, please do correct me. I want to know what the truth is. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories myself, but this is my current impression and perception. If you can change that with some hard-hitting facts, I'm all for it. Please leave me a comment. But yeah, 3 people have already withdrawn. Moving on to Slovenia, and they're going to announce their artists on December 12th. So originally we're thinking there might be a national final. Apparently not. We're going to get another internal selection. I'm into that. I just think the national final was not particularly working for Slovenia. Super low amount of votes when LPS won in 2022. I think last year's strategy were way better. Joker Out were amazing. Really great success after the competition. So I presume a lot of Slovenian artists have seen that success and say, hey, that could be me. I could be successful. Joker Out Part 2. So yeah, apparently the artists will be announced on December 12th. And Flowers, EMA Unofficial, who I follow on Twitter, has put forward some suggestions on who could be. And they think it could be either Raven, who we obviously know from the Slovenian national final before, Gregor Ravnik, who I don't know, or Nuska Drasek, who I also don't know. But yeah, apparently these are 3 of the names who could be representing Slovenia next year. Let's go to some Danish national final news, and thank you to Mukrush, who again, someone I follow on Twitter, for translating this interview from Eurosong DK, which is a Eurovision channel doing Eurovision news in Danish, and there were no subtitles on it, so I asked Mukrush if they would be able to translate for me. So here are the bullet points of what Mukrush gave me. This interview is with the head of delegation. He's saying they noted that a lot of the 2023 songs do very well on Spotify. So this is more delegations noticing the success of people when they do well in Eurovision now. So they're looking for songs that hook you from the start. Okay, that's a good strategy. There will be 8 entries, which is normal, and they'll be revealed at the end of January, which I also think is pretty standard. Now, a little bit of mistranslation here. Some people reporting that at this point he said that one of them was a former winner. That's not the exact translation. Apparently it's someone with previous pop competence. The interviewer then asked, is that a previous winner? And he laughed. He didn't say yes or no. So this could be a previous winner. It could also be an established artist. Previous experience could be someone who's like quite well known. So I think that they're trying to attract more well-known names. They're also talking about improving the voting system. Apparently they don't want to scare away established artists by coming last. So they're going to try and fix that somehow. An interesting stat Mukrush was telling me is that Dance Melody Grand Prix viewership is higher than Eurovision. So that's something they want to fix. Now, obviously having a better song and qualifying will probably help that, because people will be like wanting to see how it does. Are trying to make them more a package, as opposed to like people feeling like the Dance Melody Grand Prix is its own separate thing and then Eurovision is separate. It's like, no, this is the national final. So we want you to get involved in this and then also watch this as well, please. And then in another video, apparently they said that the voting will be 50% televote and 50% jury. This seems like Denmark turning over a new leaf. Is this because it's in Malmö, which is so close to Copenhagen, and they're like, oh crap, we can't flunk in such a like city rivalry? Are they upping their game because of that? Or is it genuinely because they haven't qualified the last 3 years in a row and they're starting to get a wake-up call? So this is interesting. I hope this is a long-term change, but at least we're going to have a short-term improvement for Denmark, hopefully, this year. I'll take short-term over no-term. Okay, we've got some news on Netherlands from ESC Discord. They're saying that according to Dutch commercial radio station 538, based on reputable sources, not me, there are 3 artists remaining in the Dutch internal selection: Il De Long, Karsu and Numidia. Now immediately, apparently Il De Long's manager said this is not true, she's not in it. I think it's pointless to ask artists if they're going to be in the selection or not. They have like non-disclosure agreements, they can't talk about it. Some people are saying, okay, this means Ila isn't in. I don't think it excludes her, because I'm not saying stop asking these people, but if you're going to ask them and they say no, it doesn't mean that they're definitely not coming. Graham Norton last year, are you going to host Eurovision? No. 1 month later, he's hosting Eurovision. So it's, you know, they're not allowed to say. We had the same thing as well with Melody Grand Prix, Norway's national final. We had Elsie Bay saying, I'm not going. Elsie Bay and a few others saying they're not going. And then literally a day later, they're like, hey, we're going to Eurovision. It's like, what do you expect them to do? They're not going to give an exclusive and break their contract. And interesting, if this is true, we're down to 3 ladies. Very interested to see what the Netherlands are going to be sending this year. Are they going to keep up their very sad and depressed streak that they've got? Still very good songs. I like all their songs. But yeah, it's definitely on the more mellow, sad side. Need some happiness in their life. Well, they've got the happiness from the Junior Eurovision. Junior Eurovision is ecstatic. And then something happens in Dutch adolescence that makes everyone very, very sad later on. Okay, and finally we have news from the German national final, and apparently they're going to do a sort of pre-show. There's 15 artists and they're all going to compete in a smaller final on February 8th, and whoever wins that is going to be like a wild card into the national final on the 16th of February. So kind of an interesting concept, I suppose, giving exposure to more people and like vetting who's going to be good performing live on stage. I'd actually quite like to see this done in Ireland, that we have like a pre-semi-final where you can see like some upcoming talent and who's really good at performing, and then they go into the final, like maybe like 2 qualifiers for the Irish final, and then like the other 4 are more established acts who've got like a bit more of a reputation. But yeah, I like this system. I wonder, is the person who wins that pre-show gonna have like a bit more of a following because they're the underdog or people have gotten to know them better, or is it just gonna be completely irrelevant? You know, maybe Ike Hofgold's gonna come in and everyone knows him and loves him, and then it doesn't matter what happened to the person who won the semi-final. So still an interesting concept, and I see that Germany are trying new different things to try and spice up their Eurovision status. So a lot of Eurovision news there. Hopefully you found something that you liked. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who are you excited for? What was your biggest surprise out of all of these announcements? Thank you so much to Alex H and George for supporting me on PayPal. You can also support me on Buy Me a Coffee or Super Thanks. I'll leave links for you in the description. And of course, thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me on patreon.com, where you can see copyright-free versions of my reaction videos. I'm also coming up with a new reward, which I'll hopefully be revealing in the next week or so. And you can also see previews of videos I'm working on and early previews of some of my videos as well. So go check that out if you're a fan of the channel. But as always, thank you so much just for watching. And I hope to see you on another Eurovision 2024 news update very soon. Goodbye.